Welcome to the Late to Chess podcast. We're continuing on with the series that I've started and may have interrupted because I've recorded all of these in a row. I think I have, by the time I'm done with this first batch, I'll have 15 or 20 episodes in the can. And hopefully we'll get some questions in. So, late to chess with a number 2 at gmail.com if you have any questions or guests or comments. Always willing. So, going through top 10, again, um, first one or two or three were kind of in order. This one's they're starting to get all kind of blurry, so it depends on the day. The thing that I have found that helped my game the most from a single activity is been annotating my games. I have a weird uh, and developing process to annotate my games. If you're unfamiliar with what annotating game means, it's taking a game that you've played, and traditionally in chess there used to be something called a post-mortem, which is more or less, depending on where you're at, that has seemed to be less and less popular. But the postmortem, you and your opponent go over the game together and talk about what were you thinking? What did you think? What did you see? Did you see this? Did you miss this? Things like that. And annotation is, to me, a way of documenting the game, as in what I saw, what I was thinking, what I looked at, what I didn't choose to do, what were uh, other moves that I looked at, what were moves I didn't see, and then I'll go through the entire game and try and record what I was seeing, thinking, and feeling through the game. And then I actually, in my process, I go through it again with the aid of the computer, which right now at time of recording is Stockfish, seems to be the default Google um, of chess computer systems right now. And then I see things that I missed. Stockfish will sometimes catch things. The only thing that's for me been better about annotating a game is going through it with somebody who's really high level, better than me, which is not hard to do. I've got a couple friends who are quite good, and I've got a coach who helps and goes through the games. And sometimes they see stuff that I just, at this point in my growth as a chess player, I wouldn't see it. So annotating game, I think it might be helpful. I don't know if anybody would be interested in this. I have a way of annotating a game. I might actually go through a game live on well, not live on YouTube. I would record it and then put it on YouTube, or I guess I could do it live on YouTube. Well, whatever, TBD. Where I go through what I do for annotating, and I'd be interested if you guys have any questions or anything that you see that I could do better. Because one of the things I do with my day job is I'm always benchmarking and looking for best practices. So that's kind of common for me. So annotation would be on the list for things that are very effective for me. It allows me to get my thoughts out and even to document them in a way that I realize what I was thinking about, even though I did think about it, but to make it conscious. And then it also allows me to see where or when I've had errors or things that I could improve. I think the more I'm thinking about it, the more I probably need to do a video on how I do annotation. I'm not saying the way I do annotation is the way everybody should do annotation, but right now it's the best way that I've come up with so far. Another thing that is great about annotation is there's several books out there where people will go through either games of amateur players, or grandmasters will go through their games and they'll annotate the games and actually tell you what they were seeing and thinking. And I get a lot out of those. And some of those are collections by player, some of those are collections by a tournament. Um, some of those are even collections of games about a player, but not done by the player. I kind of like the ones done by the player at this point. Test Dojo put out a annotation book that's just 5, 10, 15 games at different levels as they get higher, with showing what the annotations were, examples. So I've taken those and tried to get the best things that I like the most that seem to be helpful to me, and try to incorporate them into my process. So, okay. Number 5, not in order again, Chess books. I have the first step to having a problem is admitting you have a problem. I have a problem with chess books. I have a library of chess books, and I've only been buying chess books for 6 or 7 months. But I think I have, at last count, I've got one, two, three, four. I have like 13 linear feet of books if you stand them up on the edge. So have I read all my books? No, I have not. Have I collected all my books and have a bunch of books that I want? Yes, yes, I have. One reason I had not read all the books, to be fair, is I had an eye problem, which just got solved with some surgery. So life is good. So now I can read again. So I have started reading literally in the last week. So books are now back on the table. Now, there are there's a rumor in Chessland that the most written about subject besides religion in a book is chess. I don't know that to be factually true. I do know that there are thousands of books. The biggest problem that I see for everyone with books is they seem to be reading books that aren't not for their level. Usually way too high a level. Like there's some great books out there that I would get very little out of. Um, and these are cautions that I've listened to from other people who know much more about chess. So what I would do is try to keep the books pertinent to the level that you're at or appropriate to the level that you're at, and don't try and get too deep into the book if you're not at the level that the book was written to. And a lot of the books, for unknown reason to me, will say they're written for beginners and intermediates, but what they think is a beginner and intermediate and what a beginner and intermediate is in just looking at it statistically are very different. And a lot of these are written by very accomplished masters and grandmasters, and I think they have a slightly skewed perspective on not the chess, but the level of the chess. So, some of the stuff that they think is, well, everybody knows that, or it's natural that, sometimes it's not the case. And it's something that, at the lower level we need to learn. Um, if you ever want to, I have a list of my books that I have sorted by rating and appropriate to the rating. I think, let's say, uh, I'm just going to pick a few off the top of my head. There's everyone's first chess workbook. Um, that is a not really a puzzle book, but it covers various aspects of chess tactics and gives you insight into what the tactics are, what their names are, and how to see them and hopefully see them in the game. Another book that I get recommended to me all the time is a book by Bain, Bain, I believe, and that's another puzzle book that's appropriate for the under 1,000 level player. Very good book. And then the book that started I started when I first realized that I was not naturally talented at chess and did not know enough to compete, and my rating started to drop before I joined the chess dojo and started getting coaching and actually learned about the game. Levy Rosman's book on chess is quite good. It's got a section, sorry, of intro to chess, like you can literally not know how pieces move or any of the rules, up to 800, and then I think it goes from 800 to about 1200, and I think these are chess.com type ratings, so you can have to scale those as you need. That was a book that was pretty foundational for me and helped me get a good way down the road. So those are the three that come to mind. If you want, we can have a book uh, episode coming up or a section on books every single episode. I have so many books, and I have so many more books on my want list. So I have a feeling if the family uses my Amazon wish list, I will be getting more chess books. So I will have to get another bookcase because I am out of room. I'm already out of room. So one more bookcase would be still out of room. So nothing there. Okay. Final one for this episode. Things that helped me get better, bang for the buck kind of things. I grouped these two together, even though they're slightly different. In the end, I would refer to these as long games, and specifically long games in person over the board. But long games online, if you can focus and pay attention and treat it like it matters, both of those really helped. Now, when someone first told me I needed to play a chess game that lasted, 30 minutes per side or longer, or when I saw the professional players were playing multiple hour games per side, 90 minutes plus whatever, uh, or longer games, I had no idea what I could think about for that long. It seemed like forever. Like there was no way I could ever think about that. I just didn't have that much to do. I mean, there's only, I've only got 16 pieces at most, and they've only got 16 pieces at most, and half the squares are occupied or slightly less as time goes by. There's how many things can there be to think about? But the more I got into it, the more I relaxed. The quality of my decisions went up, and the depth of which I could see things went up. And I'm at the point now where a 30-minute game with some increment or delay, we'll get into that later at some other point, um, is kind of quick for me. And I could use more time. And um, I think the quality of your decisions, especially when you're new and you have to think everything through and it's not a reflex, goes up as you have time to think about it and you don't miss things. You don't blunder things. And if you use the time appropriately, if you're not using the time appropriately, it doesn't matter. If you have let's say you have a 60-minute game and you play every move in 5 or 10 seconds, you don't really have a 60-minute game. And you're probably going to lose to somebody who does use their game unless they're doing the same thing. But try to use your time. I always just mathematically for long games, the way I manage my time is I figure a chess game's about 45 minutes long. I mean, 45 moves long, and some go much longer. But if there's an increment or a delay, just do the math, and you sit there and your first few moves in the opening typically are quicker than the rest of the game, and then you have to start thinking. Um, so let's say it's a 45-minute game, just to make the math easy, and you assume the game will last 45 minutes. I mean, 45 moves. So, simple math, 45 minutes and 45 moves means I've got an average of about a minute a move. And the first ones in the beginning means I have more time. So that's kind of where I like to do the math and think, okay, I need to average about a minute a move. And then the second thing that I look at is, do I have more time than my opponent? If I have more time than my opponent, then they're in more time trouble than I am. And I like to think of that as, they're battling the clock worse than I am. So that does not mean that every move takes a minute. It means that some moves are relatively quick. Like if they take your queen with their queen and it's sitting next to a pawn, you're going to take that queen with the pawn almost every time, not even really thinking about it too long. So that move then gave me some more time for me to think about when I've got something very complicated. So this is just kind of I've heard people have trouble with time management, and this is what I've used. And if anything, I go too fast, and I have been yelled at by very good players that I go too fast. So I'm slowing down. So, okay. So that would be beneficial to you. The other thing is, usually the long games tend to be by people who are more serious or at least serious about the game. So the odds on you being able to talk to somebody about the game after we're done or learn from a better player go up. Especially, I've noticed that when I am playing my over the board games, and there are no over the board games near me, so I travel minimum hour and a half. Um, I've got I've got a tournament that I want to play in coming up before Thanksgiving. Hopefully, I'll be able to talk about it. Hopefully, I'll have played. That's like 5 hours. So it's not a big deal to drive, but I'm just letting you know the perspective of where I'm at. I lovingly call where I live a chess desert. So hopefully, I'll be able to change that. If I didn't travel so much, I would start my own chess club. Who knows if anybody would come? We'll see. Maybe an online club. Late to chess at gmail.com if interested. We could have some listener games. It'd be fun. But I think the long games will help you think and help you understand the game. And that's not to say don't play any fast games. I personally don't, but uh, they're different skills and different types of competition. So long games, over the board games especially, I think will help your game tremendously. So again, if you have anything that you'd like to talk about, if you have any questions, if you have any guests, if you want to talk about books, late to chess at gmail.com. And the two is the number. And let me know. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, everybody. Bye.